Welcome back to the 2020 World Championship. A decade of League of Legends, and our 10th championship is potentially about to end. Damwon Gaming are 2-1 up over Suning, and a win here crowns them as the 2010-20 World Champion for the first time in 3 years for the LCK. We're dropping into picks and bans quick. Straight out the gate, Camile, Jin, Akali, Nidalee, TF, Ashe, and currently a consideration for Syndra first.
Pretty crazy evolution, but the reason why Damwon are first picking the Syndra here is because they know Suning don't play Lucian. So they're saying, you know what, you want us to pick the Lucian, you then want to answer with the Syndra, and we know the Angel's good into our Lucian, so no, we're not doing it. Instead, we're just going to first pick the Syndra, we're going to give away the Graves, and Suning are happy to take that trade. The question is, what will they then look to follow it up with? So far in this series, they've actually prioritized support very early on into the draft, and I wonder if they'll just want to grab themselves a very early Leona, because it was actually banned away from them in the previous game.
I do like seeing the Akali ban away. The Angel of Death, and the pick that he's really shone on here in the World Championship, immediately removed from the pool. And with that Graves secure, the Nidalee banned away, Leona is now locked in for Sword Art.
Looks like the Kindred response is very likely from Damwon. The question is, will they also go for the Ornn once more? Or instead, will they just look to lock in a support for themselves? Both the Pantheon and Set are still up and available. Or they could grab themselves an AD carry with Jin taken off the board. Maybe an early Ezreal is very potent, especially with Ashe also taken away. I think like there's a lot of room or direction for Damwon to go into right now. And it looks like that they are in fact going to go for the AD carry.
Now, when I remember correctly, Caitlyn was banned away phase 2 of game 1. That was when Suning on the red side as well. Game 2, they banned away the Senna and the Draven. So Ghost not going to have access to that Caitlyn. We already know he's going to be facing into at least the Leona as far as the support pool is concerned. And with Angel now locking in the Orianna, we'll see where the phase 2 priority bans are going to be, but we're looking for that top laner and that bot laner from Suning.
Well, you would imagine the AD carry is going to come in next for Huanfeng, and you imagine that it's going to be the Ezreal. Damwon may even choose to ban that away, but you expect support bans to now come through from Suning. They will likely take away something like the Pantheon. They may even take away the Braum. They could consider taking away the Tahm Kench. Basically, they want to limit the number of strong supports that match up well with a Caitlyn. Morgana, I think, would be a really good ban if you're Suning. But I am a little surprised that they would choose to ban away the Kennen, especially when they're the team that gets counterpicked.
What does that indicate to you about the top lane matchup or the potential of that? I mean, Ornn is still open and available. And I assume, obviously, getting rid of this for Nogri, because his impact on this champion cannot be understated.
Yep.
We talked earlier about the LPL Fiora. Look, the LCK Cannon is already its own classification.
Correct.
And the Nogri Cannon is even better than that. And he's shown it time and time again. The Ezreal is banned away, which is something you mentioned just a moment ago. Ashe removed from the pool, Jin removed from the pool as well.
I feel like Morg should be banned here. But maybe there's something that I'm missing. They're just focusing on top lane bans. I am a little bit surprised. It does suggest that they're willing to play into whatever bot lane Damwon is going to throw out. We'll see what that in fact is. Right now, I believe that Damwon will go for something like a Lux or a Morg bot lane. And then they will also get themselves the Ornn in the top lane. So I think that, yeah, that's kind of my expectations for Damwon in terms of like what they have as a safe line. You would expect Huanfeng, like his AD carry pool is now very narrow. You don't have that many options left, especially to pair up with a Leona. We have seen a couple of Misfortunes come out from him.
Open as well. Misfortune once this event. Misfortune is also his most played domestically. 22 games, 50% win rate. And this series, we've seen an Aphelios once from Ghost. Ooh. It will be now combined with Leona in the hands of Huanfeng.
It's a rough laning phase, that's for sure. And I think Damwon has the ability to make it a lot rougher, depending on what support matchup they go to pair with it. Now, I've talked a lot about what I think they could go for. But it seems that they want to kind of stick to comfort. They want that roaming support. They want Beryl to be able to influence the rest of the map. We did see his Panth ultimates, I believe, in game 1. Actually really be very impactful, just constantly moving into these side lanes and counter ganking wherever possible. And there's kind of that one that we were talking about. So a lot of the damage going to come from the mid jungle AD carry trio, whereas Noguri going to act as that frontline tank. This does, of course, mean that Suning, sticking with the theme of their teamfight composition with the Leona, with the Orianna, are going to round things out with a Gangplank. And I feel like Suning kind of have everything that they want. I'm actually a huge fan of this Suning draft. I think the one thing that can ruin it all for them is this Kindred. It's a relatively short-range comp on the side of Suning. They're playing into a Syndra and a Caitlyn, which means that threatening that backline may be very difficult. And on top of that, even if they do get onto the backline, the Kindred ultimate can mitigate a lot of that burst. So while I look at this comp from Suning and I think, sure, this is something that they're probably very comfortable with, they can execute very well. This series has been a lot about Drakes. They do have priority in some of these lanes. I think that when it actually comes to the fights, Damwon's long range and the way that they've been very patient about their approach is going to make things difficult for Suning.
And I think it's important to call out that throughout the course of the series, Damwon have, I think it's fair to say, executed at a higher level. However, these surprise moments, these off-guard team fights, and some of the execution from Suning has kept them close. Game 1, traded back and forth. Damwon slow to push their lead. It allows Suning back into the game. Game 2, that crazy Evelynn versus Radar Rengar. The skirmish fest all game long. And then, of course, in Game 3, it was Damwon that came out with a gigantic advantage in the early game. A blunder at Baron gave Suning a chance, but ultimately, they were unable to close it out. Suning are in a do-or-die situation on home soil. And they are looking to force Game 5. If Suning do not win this game, they will be crowned second. It will end the run of LPL dominance, and for the first time in 3 years, the LCK, represented by Damwon Gaming, will be crowned the world champion.
Whew, lot on the line. Let's see what Damwon can do. Can they close off the series? Or will Suning be able to bring us to a Game 5? There aren't that many 5-game series at Worlds. Quick shot.
It'll be the second World Final ever to go to 5 games. Previous one between Samsung and SKT back in 2016. I had the pleasure of casting that one. And I'm sincerely hoping we get to see it again. I'm also wondering how similar to Game 1 in terms of the front-to-back, slightly slower early game with focus on dragons this game may play out to be. And
so I'm kind of, the biggest thing I'm looking at is priority, because we talked a lot about it last game. I think that Damwon should be expected to get priority in the bot side of the map. They should also have priority in the mid lane, which is why I'm a little surprised that Graves is actually starting in the top lane, but he is starting leashless. So Damwon don't know where SOFM is kicking off this game, whereas SOFM will know what Cannon is up to. He'll see that Noguri is assisting with that early push, and that means that he can gauge, okay, well, I know that this Kindred is going to be starting on blue. That means he's going to be pathing towards the bot side of the map. It looks like, notice this little ward that was put in the river? That was the potential red into blue invade that could come out from a Kindred, but that's also not going to be a problem. So it seems that both junglers are heading in the same direction. The problem for SOFM is going to be that he won't have prio mid, he won't have prio bot, so it's going to be a lot harder for him to contest that Scuttle Crab, and when G2 tried to contest that Scuttle Crab against Damwon, that's the moment at which they lost the game. So we'll see how SOFM adapts and pivots. Right now he's on the blue buff, and for now no vision has come out from Ghost or Beryl, but I like what they're doing with the wave here. They're being quite slow in terms of their push, and they're hoping that the wave will crash into the tower just as the Scuttle Crab is spawning, meaning that they can be there to assist Ken.
I mean, you can see their Huanfeng and Sword Art being pushed so heavily back. The very early race to level 2. Caitlyn Pantheon just blowing Huanfeng and Sword Art. They are still level 1, and they've been pushed really far back. That is a gigantic wave that Huanfeng's Aphelios needs to farm under. And just like you talked about, we'll give, you know, Canyon some chance. We'll see with the RNG whether or not he'll be able to get at one of those early marks.
So what is interesting is SOFM actually did blue into Grom, but now he's actually going to go back up to Wolves. It looks like that he's pathing back up. So his intent was clearly not to actually head in that direction. I think his main game plan was to just make sure that his bot side of the jungle was cleared out. And this still doesn't actually give a huge amount of information, but now it will. Because he's been spotted in the mid lane. He's offering a little bit of assistance to Angel, helping him get that push in the mid lane. And now he can path up towards top. Now, Canyon's obviously a little bit unlucky here, as he won't be able to get that early mark. But
played, good damage onto Beryl. Ignite's thrown down, and the flashes are held.
Deal.
The 90 caliber net as well as the trap pushing Sword Art back. He holds onto the flash, but Beryl loses his.
So it was initially a very good trade, but then Sword Art took just as much damage back from Ghost. So while Beryl does get punished, Ghost definitely does not. And this is very important for the 2 versus 2 matchup, because what you want on Caitlyn is to have as safe as possible laning phase so that you can base on BF Sword, then you can come back into lane and you can just be as obnoxious as possible, hitting onto those plates, trying to funnel as much early gold into you as possible so that you can reach those items back sooner, and then you can start controlling it.
Yeah, but look at the CS difference already. Because of the pressure Ghost and Beryl have put onto Huanfeng and Sword Art, it's a plus 17 CS difference in that bottom lane with the wave being pressured in. I also love seeing Beryl using the Hex Flash on that Pantheon. He was threatening a potential jump just a moment or two ago. And Nagari has already backed, bought, and used his TP back into the top lane. Look, the first plate has already fallen. What you want to see from a Caitlyn Pantheon lane is exactly this. And Ghost and Beryl are demonstrating flawless opening to game 4.
Wow, a couple of mistakes from Beryl. He definitely didn't want to lose the slash.
Thank you. Yeah.
But Ghost, his positioning is definitely making up for it. He's got to be careful. The root comes through.
Oh, that's a big root. The flamethrower comes out, cleanse as well. Flash forward, 100 HP, turning the damage back onto Huanfeng. Teleports come out, Huanfeng's heal, and Flash has already been used. The Comet Spear comes out from Beryl. First blood to Damwon. The Showmaker TP's just in time to help push this wave and get some more damage on the plate.
So while the TP did come through, it was not necessary for Showmaker because of a great use of the E from Beryl. It looked like Suning made the correct choice. Not only did they get all the summoners out from Ghost, but they were also telling themselves, this guy has no flash, we can kill him. But lo and behold, he was holding on to that damage mitigation option, which meant that the moment Huanfeng and Sword Art turned to try and kill him, he was there able to soak up the damage and turn around in his favor. And again, we'll see. Ghost gets a little bit too close. Huanfeng has the root ability. This sets up for Sword Art to dive on top of him. The flash is then forced out. And it's at this point that you think, well, okay, Huanfeng can win this. But then the E comes through. Huanfeng has no damage left. No kill will be available. And then Sword Art's forced to flash because of the TP in from Showmaker.
1,000 gold advantage to Damwon. Canyon will be able to jump onto the early Drake yet again, starting the race towards the Soul. And I think all series long, it has felt a little bit like Damwon is sort of one step ahead. They get a few more advantages, or maybe land the first few punches coming into the finals. Something that we were talking about pretty extensively, Varius, was that Damwon had set sort of the gold standard for what good League of Legends looked like. And they were the favorites. And, you know, it's been a competitive or a close series. Damwon have been pushed to the brink. Now Showmaker's under some trouble, but nobody's going to come down with Call of the Forge God. Unleash Power comes out. SOFM's on the wrong side of the rift. The collateral damage won't pick up the kill. And the body block from Canyon. It ends up being a 1-for-1, 2-for-1, as Canyon gets a double kill after Suning started that fight.
SOFM was committed to trading Drake for that Scuttle Crab, but Showmaker was just buying time. He was waiting for the rest of his team to show up. And while they were able to secure the Scuttle Crab, ultimately it does not matter. And you can start to see the thread starting to peel apart of Suning, because this early game is very reminiscent of what we saw when Damwon played against G2. It is this small window, that one moment that Damwon need to be able to capitalize. And I'm glad that you set up that story about this gold standard for League, because I feel like that's what Damwon have been for the vast majority of this tournament. Precise, clean, well executed, and there have been fights where Suning have been able to outperform them. Like we're seeing right now, Suning has the ability to go toe-to-toe with Damwon, and I think that this is the first team that has really been able to properly push them. They are willing to find good fights. They are not afraid to continuously fight you, and honestly, they punish a very big mistake here from Beryl, and now they're finally back in the 2 versus 2.
I'm looking forward to thinking back on this series, you know, once we get some more time to digest it, because game 1, we could have been a little maybe more critical on Damwon playing it slowly, you know, allowing time for Suning to build it up. There's that Hex Flash forward. Oh, instantly
really nice
punished. Baited.
Yeah, really
Barrel goes down.
really well done there. the Hex Flash to max the Hex Flash, and just a really good, smart punish. Obviously, still behind in the bot lane. A plate will also be secured in top, and notice, Barrel is here once again to cover. We've seen this multiple times throughout this series, but this is to allow Canyon to keep on farming. He's still in his jungle, and now, with the support up top side, Dom1 can, of course, start off the Rift Herald. This means that the Caitlyn's going to have to play on weak side for now, but I think Kate will be fine. She just has to be careful of the potential dive, and you can see how defensively she is playing behind her turret.
I mean, that big goal difference has all of a sudden changed. The fact that Suning were able to at least get themselves that kill in the jungle, the kill in the bottom lane, it is still an advantage to Dom1, and Canyon on your screen currently has 1 stack. Thank you, production team. Keep us updated with how that is tracking as we continue to watch the rest of this game. And Huanfeng and Sora will get some time to at least bounce back. Look how quickly that plate goes down with the chakrams. Ace in the hole fired from Ghost. BF Sword and Pickaxe, that's going to chunk Huanfeng down to 50%, and now Canyon. The Lamb's Respite is available. Cannon Barrage not yet chucked out. That's been knocked up into the air. Finally throws it down. I think it was Chain CC. Now all of a sudden there's pressure in the bottom lane. SOFM gets jumped on by Barrel. The flash engage already. Sword Art and Huanfeng can't do more, and they won't be able to get anything other than this next plate. Look at the mid lane and the top lane. Dom1 continue to put pressure on towers.
So a lot of things are happening right now, and the crucial thing to note is Bin used his ultimate top lane, not on the enemy, but on the minion wave, because he wanted to slow down the use of this Rift Herald. But now Dom1 are adapting, and they're actually using the Rift Herald mid. Angel now going to throw out the Shockwave to try and clear out that wave as well, and Dom1 are trying to get a little bit more gold into the back pocket of their mid lane. I'm not actually sure if Showmaker was able to grab any of that gold, but it doesn't matter, because as Suning tried to make the cross-map play happen in bot using the additional time that they were given, a really good response from Barrel was to just engage onto SOFM. When playing against a flank, just engage on one of the sides of the flank, and that's what they do to get out of harm's way.
Well, we're 3-0 for Canyon's Kindred. 300 gold bouncy, Warrior Enchant already completed. In the top lane, Nogari, 3 assists already, and he's up 10 CS, obviously playing into a gangplank, so that will help Bin out. And in the bottom lane, there's still a minor advantage for Ghost, but I think Huanfeng and Sword Art have been able to kind of bounce back. The constant engages onto Barrel have been helping them out. For Suning, as we wait for this next engage, 30 seconds till the next Ocean. Let's see where their priority is going to be, because Canyon has had a significantly higher impact early on. Solar Flare dodged away from Flash. Zenith Blade, shield up, Daybreak into the Moonlight Vigil, and a couple of shots from a Flamethrower gets the 3rd kill for Suning. Grand Stormfall comes in, but where's the follow-up? If Suning stay committed, Canyon can come in, and he's tagged Sword Art as his target for the mark.
I think Barrel either wants to keep Huanfeng and Sword Art in lane because the Drake is spawning soon, or he wants to make sure that they can control the wave. And here you can see this wave is going to get pushed underneath the tower, which then makes it easier to set up for this objective. And I think the SOFM is going to look for the cross map. They don't have a wave stacked up in top. In fact, they're all just going to reset, so they're just going to concede this objective in its entirety. I'm a little bit surprised by that. I would have thought that they would try and trade it for a top tower, maybe get a couple plates.
But Vedius, the rulebook of this series has been fight on Drake 3 and 4.
Yeah. That is fine. I'm more talking about the cross map. Yeah. I'm more talking about like why Suning would choose not to. And I think, I think the main reason is because Bin actually just got Trinity Force. He's saying, you know what? My item is ready, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to fight, just let me base, let me get this objective, and now on the 1v1, I can actually be in a much better position. Good patience there coming out from Canyon. His mark is just going to spawn, so he will be able to grab that, and now he's also helping his bot lane. They're going to look to try and secure the top, because they know Canyon's top side of the map. There's no reason for him to be bot side. There's no camps left. So, down one, just really good map awareness, and this is going to force Angel to come down as well. The Gangplank ultimate's going to be used to clear out the wave, so no plates will go down in the favor of down one. Let's see what SOFM does. He's just using his time to steal camps. I think this is good, because Ornn is just doing everything in his power to stop the wave from getting stacked. But now, with the Trinity Force on Bin, he should look to be a little bit more aggressive in this 1 versus 1, as you can see. And again, they're not going for these plates, so Nogari doing a great job of just keeping them away from this tower, preventing that cross-map play as an option.
Now, we are playing for an Infernal Soul, so the Rift is now opened up, less walls to play around. We saw Canyon, a little graphic popped up there. He's hit 4 marks, so that range is already starting to increase. He's at 3-0, 3 of his team's 4 kills. Huanfeng on this Aphelios, 2-1. The respect that Hwangfang and Sword Art had given Damwon is conceded most of this tower's hit points as well as a very large chunk of CS. But the fact he's got 2 of his team's 3 kills on a champion like Aphelios, it could be a way they can look to play through the mid game, but it's going to be difficult to enable him because you mentioned already about the range that is sitting on Damwon's side.
Yeah, I am a little concerned about how Suning are going to be able to play out these team fights, but I think what I do like the Suning is doing is that they are prioritizing jungle farm. So I think a lot of people don't appreciate how valuable jungle camps are, especially in the current meta. And while Canyon was just stuck bot helping and threatening the dive, SOFM was taking all the camps. He stole the entire top side, enemy blue. He also did his entire red side. He's now pathing back towards his bot side, and he's actually gotten himself a pretty healthy XP lead and also a CS lead. And that's kind of nullifying some of the gap that exists between the 2 junglers. Now, of course, he's still going to be at a deficit because Kindred has 3 kills.
Yes.
But it actually helps a lot, and while his laners are losing some, he's also being a big benefactor. That does, of course, put more responsibility on him because rather than helping his team, he's focusing more on himself, which means that coming into these team fights, more pressure will fall on SOFM to make up for the deficits that the rest of his team is suffering.
Look how difficult that is for Hwangfang. He's just trying to get in range to farm. Ace in the hole drops his HP. Now he is healing up relatively well for the time being. 9 turret plates were secured by Damwon to the 3 of Suning. And Suning are still in a deficit. They lose this game, they are done. They're the 3rd LPL team to make it to a final in a row. 3rd different team, 3rd set of players, 3rd play style. Something that you can't underestimate or talk enough about is just how deep the LPL player pool is, as Ben is just going to get chunked out here underneath the tower. Lamb's respite will buy some time. Beautifully executed, honestly, by both, but Canyon coming out on top.
I think Bin was not expecting that much damage to come out from the 3rd proc from Canyon. That was just so much damage. It lost him his flash. That's going to cost them the top tower as well, and that gold gap that was relatively close is starting to get bigger and bigger. You can see Suning trying to respond by pressuring mid. They're going to force the flash out from Showmaker, which is good, but more towers are going to fall. Rift Herald likely going to be secured by Canyon as well, and the Drake is going to be spawning in about a minute and a half, and I don't think Suning's going to be strong enough to contest.
Doesn't feel that way. Slowly starting to run out of options here for Suning. 2,500 gold down. There is a mark there on the Krug camp. While Canyon and Noguri will take the top lane tower. The Rift Herald is the current focus. Beryl now looking to jump onto Sword Art. And for Suning, like I was saying, the surprise run, one of the most impressive runs at a World Championship, facing off against every pre-tournament favorite, now being on the precipice of being eliminated here in Game 4 of the finals. It's not over yet. Right? They can still fight their way back in, but it is an uphill battle, not only because of the disadvantage they find themselves in, but then compositionally, how they need to execute on this draft that they put together will make it more difficult. Getting to 30 seconds for this next Infernal, if they decide to fight.
They're not going to. I can't see a world. Unless, for some reason, Canyon finds himself on the top side of the map. I just don't see a world in which they can really contest this. And I think what's also very impressive is how Noguri has really been handling this matchup. Admittedly, like, oh no, he tried to back on a ward and he gets into... Oh, this is so painful.
So bad.
Because now the mid tower is going to fall, his back is reset, which means the bot tower is going to also die. This is going to cleanly set up for the Drake. Like, Damwon's just playing like the whole map extremely well right now.
This is the Damwon that everyone expected to see. I said it in the previous game, and then one Baron team fight goes the way of Suning.
So that's the thing. You can't just give up on Suning because they haven't given up once this series.
100%.
They are going to fight this. The Gangplank ultimate is going to be up soon. Hwangfang doesn't even have his Infinity Edge yet, but here we go.
Shockwave, that's going to whiff. That only tags the Dragon. Solar Flare comes out. Call the Forge God will send Suning packing. Sword Art forced to flash defensively, and while the Moonlight Vigil will get some damage down, Beryl is picked up by Angel. Dragon number 3 goes the way of Damwon, and ends up being a 1-for-0 in terms of death. Sword Art survived, but Damwon get the Drake.
So they kill Beryl, which is nice and all, but it's still the Drake that goes over in Damwon. And I think that that is such a big objective. We've seen how important these Drakes have been, and of course it will force Suning into a that 4th Drake fight. They have no choice. Oh, good read from Damwon. They know exactly what SOFM's trying to do.
Oh, quick draw over the wall.
But he's just able to sneak away. Bin is also going to be here to help cover him. Extremely well done there by both teams, honestly. Like the TP from Noguri, I thought that they'd found a good collapse, but not going to result in a huge amount.
So do you at home believe in a Game 5? Do you believe Suning can bring us there? The reason I'm asking, we're 4 minutes away from an Infernal Soul fight. Suning showed a willingness to fight the third one with an item disadvantage, with lanes that were not set up healthily, and they still jumped in there. They have to run through Canyon's 4-0 Kindred. And if that Infernal Soul goes the way of Damwon, well, it's starting to look scarier and scarier. Nogri and Canyon, they're looking for the fight here. Dash forward dance on Varus as well. Bin's going to be able to survive just a few seconds longer before I think the Bellows Breath finally took him out. That's
no
another
mark
kill.
Gained for Canyon, but it doesn't matter.
Silver linings for Suning.
Haha, he's still only at 4. Yeah, so that's going to be pretty frustrating for Bin. He didn't really have a flash, but the good news is they're not going to get much off the back of it from the perspective of Damwon. They will be able to get a little bit more gold in their back pockets. Maybe the Yorn can use that money to get himself another item, another upgrades, but yeah, you feel like the game is just so handily in control of Damwon. It feels like that there's no way in which they can really lose this game. But I felt that way last game too.
Oh, Solar Flare engages there onto Showmaker. It's going to get the Zenith Blade, stands on top of the Lamb's Respite. Sort of survives a few seconds longer, but Huanfeng and the rest of Suning, they don't get there in time. Ghost comes in from behind, manages to take out Huanfeng. The Grand Starfall jumps onto Angel. Here comes Bin, throws down the barrels. It gets shot and interrupted. I think Canyon got both. SOFM manages to pick up 1 kill onto Showmaker while Angel takes out Beryl. Here comes Nogari, and he takes down the Angel of Death with the help of Ghost. SOFM running through the enemy jungle, the last man standing. Suning down 4,000 gold, and Canyon will hop himself forward, goes godlike, 11 kills to 6. Vedius, it is looking very scary for Suning.
It is looking dire. Damwon have looked dominant throughout this game, and it all started here. They had multiple members on the bot side of the map, but they didn't appreciate the positioning of Canyon. And I think you can see SOFM and Angel, they realize that they've overcommitted at this point and they need to disengage, but Sword Art doesn't really have a choice. And now they go for the re-engage, which is just not what you want to do. You're getting collapsed on from all sides. The positioning of Ghost is great as he's able to execute Huanfeng. Angel, while he's able to get the kill onto Beryl, he's still being kept out of the fight. SOFM takes down Showmaker, but you can see that there's 3 different skirmishes going on, and it's Damwon that come out as the heavy favorites off the back of it.
I want to take just a brief moment to talk about Ghost, as when you look at Nogari, when you look at Canyon, Showmaker, as Nogari's almost going to solo kill. The ace in the hole comes down here from Ghost. Every single member of Damwon gets so much airtime, and one of the things I fell in love with when I was looking at this series was that Ghost struggled in the LCK for so long, and he did not find success until he joined this roster. For anyone who doesn't know, may remember some names. ESC Ever, BBQ Olivers, the best of the best quality. Ghost played on those teams and, frankly, struggled. In LCK Summer, after Damwon picked up the win, he was in tears. And it was in celebration, in acknowledgement of the fact he finally found success. And I think even when you look at this World Championship run, AD carries have not necessarily dominated the storylines because of how the meta and Worlds has played out, but his consistency throughout these games, the value he's brought Damwon, is obviously following up from the superstars of Canyon, Nogari, as well as Showmaker. And look at this, another kill. SOFM is down. My boy Ghost is on a killing spree. It's a 5k gold lead, 20 seconds to Infernal Soul, Venius.
And it feels like that will be the final nail in the coffin. Of course, Suning, they've showcased multiple times that they will fight you to the death, but Bin just gonna face check, that's dead. He is just dead. And Suning are falling apart in this 4th game. We hoped and we thought that we would see some of the fight that we've been seeing from them this entire series, but Damwon, they feel like they're in their comfort zone right now. They feel like that they are in control, and they are gonna secure themselves the Infernal Drake Soul. They are so close to securing themselves the World Championship title and bringing glory back to the LCK.
I mean, we heard in the promo for the finals, I think it was Showmaker who was talking about seeing Faker, you know, on stage crying after the defeats, looking at the rise of the LPL in 2018 and 19, and no LCK team being able to return. The 3 LCK representatives at Worlds this year, very different flavors, different styles. Damwon, a new breed, a new look. The region, the league has started evolving. And Damwon might just be the best looking LCK team we have seen in 2 years, and the hope...
Oh, I mean, they are. I mean, they are, as I've said, the gold standard for what I think Great League of Legends is in the current meta, and I think that they seem to tick all the boxes. They have carries across the board. They have everyone that kind of does and knows exactly what they're supposed to do, and I think they're demonstrating it extremely well in this fourth game.
Yeah.
Of course, they still need to win it. We've seen Suning fight from the brink of death multiple times, and if they can find another miracle fight, then maybe they can turn it around, but the damage seems so strong. SOFM.
Here comes Beryl. The blast cone gets SOFM alive for a few seconds longer. Bin's waiting for a barrel chain. That's some damage. That's a flash over the wall. Bin's trying to hunt them down. Showmaker gets killed as Canyon forced a flash over the wall. Uses the Dance of Arrows instead. I just started writing them off, but here come Damwon. That's the engage from Noguri. Everybody on Suning is low. The barrel is danced away from by Canyon. A double kill for Beryl. And Angel is running for his life. 4 members of Suning are down. The last ditch effort. Throw everything in the kitchen sink at Damwon, and it does not matter. They hit back harder.
It looked promising at first, but then it all fell apart. Canyon stayed alive. He will help his team secure Baron. That is a 7k gold lead. Damwon only need one more win to secure the title for the LCK, and this could very well have been the play that did it for them. That was the big crit that came through from Ghost. He also has the ultimate to secure the execution onto SOFM. And then we can see here, Bin uses the barrels, gonna catch Showmaker over the wall to get that very quick execute. Very well played from Bin here. But he invested so much and they had nothing left to chase down onto Canyon, and then they realize, oh, we've just funneled ourselves into a choke point, which then makes it easy for Damwon to chase them
I was
down.
looking at it as well. Huanfeng did not have flash. Imagine if he could have flashed over, if there was a little bit more support. It's not the case, so in the end of the day, Suning get caught on the wrong side of the rift, and they just get run down in the jungle by Damwon.
They certainly did. Suning have had a fantastic performance throughout this series, and now they are just being dismantled by Damwon. Another double kill goes into the back pockets of Ghost. They have the Baron buff. They're looking to break into the base.
7-0-6 for the best jungler in the world, Canyon on Kindred. 7-1-4 for Ghost playing Caitlyn, with Baron buff pushing into the base of Suning. The inhibitor turret is now taken out. The inhibitor will be the focus, and 2 members are dead. 10 seconds for Bin, 5 seconds for Sword Art. You cannot hear a sound in Shanghai as Damwon are making a statement in game number 4. There was a brief discussion I had with some of the production crew about whether or not playing on home soil was cursed. Because outside of Samsung in Korea and Fnatic in Europe, almost every home representative has lost. And look at that engage. 2 more kills, diving into the base. Angel gets airtime with the knockups. 4 members of Damwon pushing to the mid lane. All 5 group up to take down the inhibitor, and this might be the final push. It's been a 3-year hiatus for the LCK, a drought when it comes to finals appearances. And today, Damwon Gaming will shut down Suning. Damwon will silence Shanghai, and Damwon Gaming are your season 2020 world champions. Suning gave us so much hope in game 1 and 2 and the potential comeback in game 3, but look at the elation on Damwon.
An exquisite performance from Damwon throughout the entire tournament. They were considered one of the favorites, and they have been dominant from start to finish. They've dropped a couple games. It felt like that there were a couple of moments where they could have been exploited, but every single time they overcame and they were able to improve, and very deserving of the World Championship title. What an impressive performance, and commiserations, of course, to Suning. it has to be disappointing. It is always frustrating at the final hurdle to not be able to quite make it, but it was always going to be a challenge against the Titans that are Damwon. This could be the beginning